Well, a Green Beret in Stockton came home to quite a surprise party attended by loved ones, community members, as well as veterans. And it's well-deserved after he was injured multiple times during multiple tours of duty. It was a welcome home in style. Stockton's American Legion rolled out the red carpet for hometown hero, Army Sergeant First Class Joe Serna. But a white stretch limo is a far cry from his normal life in the military.
Just blessed that he came back home. I have no words for it. I'm happy that he's home, that he's enjoying his son and his kids and his family. He deserves it.
And he almost didn't come back, more than once.
When I was injured the third time, I was medevac to Germany.
Last year, this Green Beret was injured a fourth time while on foot patrol in the Kandahar region of Afghanistan. He's more than earned his 2 Purple Hearts.
Nah, I'm overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed from a man who's seen more in 4 tours of duty in Afghanistan than most will see in a lifetime. His modesty shines through.
I think it's for all these vets that stand here right now. That set the groundwork for guys like my teammates that are still there. They're still doing their service overseas.
Emotions ran high as a feeling of pride spread throughout today's event, all knowing not all soldiers are fortunate to return home to see another day.
Our brother, our son, our nephew, and our cousin, he's home now. He's safe. We're so proud of him. Every veteran actually deserves this.
Joe will spend time with his wife and 4 children as they all anxiously await a 5th child that is on the way.
Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today we got Joe Serna, a real American hero. So it's Veterans Day, and I wanted to bring him on to represent his people that he was over there with, and we're going to let him tell his story. So here he is, Joe Serna. What's good, man?
Staxx, what's going on, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm really glad to see you back on the show.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. When I think it's like our 3rd show now.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure to get on you, Staxx, man, and I really enjoy it.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I'm trying to step the game up and go to another level, you know?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I just hit 7,500 subscribers. Thank you to everyone who watches this show. Things are moving at a fast pace, and they're starting to pick up steam. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this show. Hit the like button, subscribe. We're going to get into this crazy story. So you want to tell the people, tell them your name, where you're from, and then what year did you go over to Afghanistan?
Okay. Well, first of all, big shout out to your viewers, 7,500. That's an excellent job. And you always put out some straight content, man. I always enjoy watching your show, man, and I'm glad to be on it today. All right, so I came. So I was most of my time was done here at we call it Fort Liberty now, but it was Fort Bragg back then in North Carolina. And my tours really began early on during the campaign. It was from 05, 06, 07, and 8, and it was gonna be the 09 until I got hit. So it was early to mid 2000s when I was in the sandbox.
So mid 2000s, you said, around the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
So
most of my trips were done in mid 2000s.
How long were you there until you got injured the first time? Because it was 4 different incidents, right?
Yeah. Well, no, the other one was it says 4. It was a really bad gunshot, but I didn't get shot on that. My partner next to me got shot. So they misspoke there, but it was just 3.
Oh.
So the first shot, I was in let me see, 05. So I was with 7th Special Forces group, and our special forces, our group was assigned to Fort Bragg. They probably within the last 12 years, 15 years, moved to Florida. So, but while they were here, I was assigned to 7 Special Forces. The A team I was on was 784. Uh, and when I say seventh group special forces, we focus in South America. A lot of our things are done in South America. However, when 9/11 happened, the operational tempos from some of our groups were so fast, the turnover rates, guys were getting burned out. They inserted our group into the rotations. So about 2005 and 6, 7, and 8 is when we started going hot. And as far as my first injury, yeah, man, I had to be in country. Now here's the tricky thing where we spent all this time training for war. I've never seen war up to this point. We put role players with characters. We try to even the costumes are similar to what we'll experience when we're in country. And so. Uh, the first thing for me was a culture shock. It was a real culture shock when I first got there in '05. Once the ramp, they dropped the doors, and then we got off the plane, uh, knowing that like actually everybody was in, like they call 'em man jammers, and it was a real culture shock for me. And so
Was it really hot? It was a desert, right? You're getting off the plane. It's a desert, sand everywhere. Like, how do you get used to
right.
that?
Well, it was January, so it was really cold. So it's really cold. Even though we were in the flat areas, it was really cold. We were in Kandahar. We flew into and that's southern Afghanistan. That's the Taliban stronghold back then. And it was real cold when we got off. And it took us about a good month to get comfortable with the weather, the climate. It took me a little longer to get accustomed to the people, um, and the way and how they handle the Americans. I mean, they were polite. They're really polite, but they have their culture that we had to assimilate to. So we had to adapt our mannerisms to meet their mannerisms, and then that was kind of a challenge as well. I
Did
mean, because
you did you get like when you would talk to these people, would you get pushback from them? Would they be talking like hatred towards you? Was it did you feel that like tension when you were around these people?
we talked to a lot of we talked to a lot of village elders, and it's the same story every time. They don't mind us there, but at the same time, we're in there doing our job. The Taliban are in there kind of enforcing their rules too. So they'll say the same thing every time. And I had it verbatim of what they were going to tell me when I walked up. How are you doing? Well, the Taliban came through here the other night. They're making us do this. They pay us. They threaten us. So I already knew the whole story. It didn't even take me a month to figure out what's going on. But they were polite. They were polite, and it's not like they move from village to village. I mean, everything they get is from their religious elder in that village. So all the information. So it's not like they can travel when they go around. So it's all compartmentalized. And so yeah, but for the most part, they treated us with open arms. But
Now
they knew,
you
but they know once we left, somebody was gonna return.
Yeah, and they're like, yo, they were here. So they're
Yeah,
telling them the information that you were
yeah.
there. They're playing both sides of the fence pretty much, right?
They have to. They
Yeah,
live there.
because otherwise they would probably have a problem with the Taliban.
And considering the economics there was probably 90% opium.
Did
So
you did you when you were there, did you see a lot of drugs and a lot of drug use from the people there?
I've seen a lot of manufacturing, and I've seen a lot of growing, and I seen some serious drug houses, some black tar, and I seen it through the process of opium fields. When they're mature, somebody will go around and rake them, and then so the leak out, and that's the stuff they collect for the opium. I seen that part, the process of it.
And
But
where's the US government or the military? Were they stopping these people from growing it?
so our job was really just to set up security, a stronger country, a more stabilized country through whatever means. Hey, we're standing up a security force, in that area. So we'll put those. Our concentration was on security. We had other agencies. DEA was there, and they were really focused on drug addictions. But
Oh, so if there's a guy with an SUV full of drugs, they're not just gonna drive through there like it's nobody's business, right?
Yeah, no. But we didn't burn any fields, so we didn't destroy any. We let it go because we can't tell. In my personal opinion, we can't. You can't tell well your economics. You don't have running water. You don't have electricity. But the only thing that you guys do, the only thing that you're providing and producing is opium. That's where you're getting your money from. There's nothing that we can replace that's going to even equal to that. You can't put you can't grow corn and think it's going to bring the same amount of money in as or revenue as opium.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we left it alone, and I mean I patrolled through opium fields that were up to my chest. They're pretty flowers. But
Yeah, they're like pink, right? They're like pink flowers. Yeah.
Like a bulb and then the pink on top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there was abundance of it. But yeah, that's that came in. I forgot what time of year that was. When I got there when I first got there it was everything had dried up and I think they were just plowing the fields. But to answer your first question, my first injury. I think did you say something about when I got hit?
So how long? Like you get there? How long until the first incident happens? Like how long are you there for until something happens and it's like causing chaos?
So I was there, and this is I was afraid of getting two things. Of getting maimed, which means getting hit with an IED and losing my leg, or getting shot and killed. All right? That's and you can ask most guys that were out in the fields that they probably say the same thing. Well, IEDs, and unfortunately, when my unit first got into country, December 05, rolling into January, we took a pretty big hit. One of our trucks, and this wasn't my truck. This is going to lead into my incident. And so they took a pretty big hit, and all four were killed. All five were killed on the truck. So that was our sister 18.
No, IED. You want to explain to the people what that is? That people that don't know what an IED is.
IED is it stands for improvised explosive device. Usually they're set off two ways: one, pressure plate, or two, remote control RCID, which means they arm it, and then it's active. So when we drive over it, it detonates. The other way is, like I said, pressure plate. It might be a piece of plastic in there, metal, and it stops in the middle of metal touching, and then they pull the plastic out when they see it's coming, and when it makes contact, it's rigged to. And it's and early on, and I don't know the exact data on it, but they were using Russian anti-tank mines for the IED itself. So they'll put this big old hole in the ground. They'll cover it with they'll put these tank mines, and they'll put them in the ground and they'll cover it. Well, at some point they went away and started creating their own type of IED, which is like a yellow water jug filled with explosives and whatever they can, metal, nails, and they'll put that in the ground. But the ones we were hitting early on, they were actually Soviet anti-tank mines.
And they were the explosives are huge, right?
Oh, catastrophic. We weren't even in. These mines are designed to take down tanks. We were driving Humvees, so you can imagine the damage it has on those vehicles that are lightweight, medium weight vehicles.
Liberty said, I wish this guy was on live so I can ask a question. Well, we are on live, so you can ask a question. People thought this wasn't live. This is live. Shout out to everyone watching. It's Veterans Day. It's 9:32, so I can prove it's live. If you want to ask a question, drop it in the chat. I'll ask Joe the question, but he's going to explain a story first, and then we're going to get to the questions. He's going to explain a crazy incident that happened with an unalived bomber, right?
Yeah.
So let's say on YouTube.
So having said that, one is we got two different packs. Well, the one that I was mentioning now is an IED. It's an improvised explosive device. They're buried, and you come across it, and boom. The other one is a suicide bomber, SBID, and those are just as dangerous because they're closer. And so, I got hit with both of those. The first one I got hit was I was 1 month in the country during my deployment in 2005, around February 2006. My truck hit our first IED. We took our first casualty. I was injured. The driver was killed in action, and then the other two Green Berets were pretty bad. But I'm the only one that returned to duty.
So you're injured, but not really like bad enough to put you out of commission. You're still able to function.
I just got blown out of the truck. I was blown out of the truck, and I thought I sent you a picture of that truck. It was pretty bad.
I got a picture of you filling up a truck.
That truck right there that you're showing there. That's my first time back on that truck after my second accident. I was in that truck when it happened, but that picture though is kind of like me stepping back into it and getting comfortable with it after the second accident. That's the second accident you're showing.
How long are you out of commission after the first injury? How long are you out of commission before you go back?
Oh man, when the helicopters, when they call it medevac. When the medevac came and picked up my buddies and the body bag, I stayed on the ground. I stayed with the team because I did some things right after that. But I don't think we're getting into those stories yet. I think we're going into the last story.
Yeah, we don't need to get into them other stories. We got to focus today on this because it's crazy. You told me this story before, but people are going to be like blown away when they hear this, like how the intricacy of how everything transpired. It's insane.
So that was the first story. I was in the country maybe a month, and we had that terrible accident. I would say that the way I was thinking, that's the second accident. That's the last known pic of my friend who left. Rest in peace, Sean Simmons. He died shortly after that picture was taken. That's his last picture.
Wow. And the truck is like the one in the background over there, right?
That's it.
Oh, shit. Did we lose you? I think he might have got a phone call or something. Yeah, I could hear you. What's going on, everybody? Tracy, Liberty, what's up? See No Evil, what's going on? Mike, everyone hit the like button, subscribe, help support the veterans today.
Am I in?
I don't see you. If you leave the chat or leave the stream and hit the link again and come back in, it'll reset it. Amy, how are you? Bill, I love the way you mix it up with your guest list. Awesome job, bro. Keep me entertained. I appreciate it. Waiting for the Donald Trump stuff as well, my friend. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to go out there to his trial. I was thinking about it, but I don't know. It might just be a big waste of time. I have some major things going on, and I don't want to throw a wrench into my stuff because of Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? Just to get a quick picture of him walking by. Like, I don't know. I got bigger things on my plate than to do that. You know what I'm saying? But if that's what you guys want, maybe I'll get it done. But if you guys got any questions, he's going to be telling this story about what happened. It's insane. And here's Joe's back right now. So it's all good, bro.
So before I begin, I want to put this out there. First of all, I'd like to say Happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans. Thank you guys for your service. The ones that didn't make it back, also thank you for your services and their families that are the ones that are really paying the price. But thank you for all the veterans, and thank you, Staxx, for having me on this day to support our veterans.
Definitely, man. You're always welcome here. I
Absolutely.
have nothing but respect for veterans and what you guys do. You're the reason why I'm able to do this, man. You're the reason why I have free speech and I'm able to talk shit and all this other stuff, you know? You guys are the reasons for that. So you guys could all thank Joe for that, for me being on here for you guys.
Thank you. And also,
people are saying they could barely hear you. Is there any way you could turn your volume up a little bit?
Okay, maybe it was just, let me see. Okay.
Thanks,
Probably,
Wyatt.
Can they hear me now? Yeah, I think it's these headphones too as well.
I can hear you.
Okay. Well, let me know if they're tapping in saying they can't hear. Then I'll try to figure something out.
Okay.
At first I speak really low, so I kind of speak up.
And he is on a cell phone, and I'm on a professional mic, so it's a little different. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
yeah. Hey, so and also I do want to say before I share these stories is that I'm not glorifying any of these stories, and I don't want people to think it's a video game and I'm walking away. A lot of people lost their lives, and I keep these stories pretty close, and I'll tell them, I'll share them with people who really care. Staxx is one of the guys that really appreciates, these stories and our service. So I really enjoy it. But yeah, I don't want people to think that these are, this isn't a video game. These are real life humans that had lost their lives and left some loved ones behind. So it's not a barroom story for me. So when I share these, I genuinely care about sharing and sharing their stories in the best possible light I can.
yeah, maybe you could tell a little bit after we're done with the story. You could tell a little bit about who they were as people and things like that. Let people know,
Okay, sure. Okay, so all right, so
so hold on. See No Evil said, Staxx, tell him to hit the settings button and then you can adjust the volume in the StreamYard setting.
okay. Say I got settings. Okay, audio. Okay,
I don't see any settings for the audio.
I do. I'm on it right now. It's an echo cancellation. Automatic adjust mic.
Do that.
Let me see iPhone microphone. Let me see if this. Is there an echo?
Boom! It's a lot better now.
Is there an echo?
No.
Okay, cool.
It's perfect. I think it's a lot better.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, so yeah, I had I just want to put that out there if you guys didn't catch it, that I share these stories from the heart and from the blessings of the families that have lost their loved ones, because I always keep in mind that and how they feel if I share stories and if it was in a good light. So that's very important to me. So these ain't barroom stories; they're Joe stories from the heart, and it's I'm glad I have the opportunity to
Cutting out. Shit, man. You're cutting out.
hear me.
Mikey, what's up? See No Evil. What's going on? Full green light. Yeah, I could hear you. Just keep it rolling, man.
All right, so let me know if I'm talking and it's not getting through. Okay.
Can everybody hear him good? Everybody good? Just put a yeah if we're good. I think we're all right, man. Joe, with all respect to you and the veterans too. Happy Veterans Day, everyone. Hey, that's Joe. I appreciate your sacrifice, man. You don't pay you guys near enough for putting your lives on the line to keep us safe. God bless you and everyone else who is a veteran. Thank you. People are saying you were breaking up. Bill, his hiccups a bit. They said you got the hiccups?
Hiccups?
I don't know. All right, so how does that day start off for you, man?
So it was. We're gonna go into the third accident. This is the third injury.
It sounds like we're in a fishbowl. It's weird. Does anybody hear that? Does it sound crazy? If he's popping up the cell phone, it covers the mic. Someone said.
Oh, you know what? You know what?
If you prop up the cell phone the wrong way, it'll cover the mic. The bottom of the cell is the mic, they said. Put the cell phone sideways.
You want to see me sideways? Okay.
No. I don't know.
Here we go. Let me see. Turn right here.
I can hear you good right there. He's cutting in and out. Don't worry. He's working on it. We're trying to get it perfect for you guys. You guys are going to be amazed when you hear this story and how he persevered. He was injured 3 times. This dude is an American hero. And this is the 3rd time I believe he's been on here. Maybe a couple more times than that. But we've been good friends ever since I started doing this podcast stuff. And he's been a great, great friend. His story is unbelievable. And he has a lot of them like that have you like, wow, they have you really thinking about things. So shout out to everyone who lost somebody, everyone who's dealing with, the reminder of losing someone on this day. A lot of veterans out there. We got the situation in the Middle East right now and everything. All right, he's back.
I think I'm sideways here.
We got him back. We're good.
All right.
Andy sideways. Hey.
Hey, good call. Because I think I was blocking the mic.
That's what someone said, man.
Good observation. Good observation. All right. Okay. So we're gonna start off from my third story, my third injury. If you don't mind, Staxx, we're gonna jump right into it.
Hey, let's do it, man.
All right. So my third injury was on my third deployment, and we were in the Helmand, so it's a pretty busy area as far as Taliban movement, information, and safe havens for the Taliban. I've worked all over the country, and I've dealt with the fighters from every province, and no kidding, the hardliners came from the Helmand province. Those guys were tough, and so.
Would they try to fake you out? Would they try to act like they were civilians and really be involved?
No, but they act like they're poor farmers. Yeah, every single one. And we had you get accustomed to searching them. So if I would say, okay, show me your hands. If they weren't rough, I would say, he's dealing with money. Or and I say, take off your shirt. If he had a bruise, oh, he's carrying a sling. So there's a little telltale. You can, not all the time, but you can tell if some guys are active.
Wow, that's smart to look at their hands to see if they're working. That's smart, man. People wouldn't think of that type.
It was back-to-back deployments that we just kind of adapted it going over. It's not like it's kind of like we figured out their little nuances and things they were saying, just like they figured us out. So it was a cat and mouse game the entire time I was there. We call it TTP. We just changed our TTPs. They changed their TTPs. So yeah, but So I was operating the Helmand on this one specific mission, and we were only on the ground for about 7 days, and our job really was just to hold the ground, because they were doing some type of work in that area, and they had some slow moving vehicles going back and forth that they didn't want to get hit by they didn't want the Taliban to hit them, so they put us on the ground for like at intersections, like blocking positions.
Yeah.
And so it was just we had combat advised, which means we take the local commandos, Afghani commandos, which is like their special forces, not as trained or without the equipment, but they're the top Afghan army's elite. We take them with us and we do missions. And everywhere we go, every door we kick in, it has to be their fix, an Afghan face. We were just combat. We call it combat advising. Even though
You're just backing them up, basically.
Yes, even though they never went in the door first. You know, we went in. They just put a fix
You
on.
push the door in, you bring the guy like, here, he's Afghan, we're good. You sold.
There was one time the guy didn't want to go to the door, and he stuck on the door frame, and I'm pushing him in the back, and but no, we didn't really let them go in first because we told them to get out the way, let us go and do our business, then you guys come in behind us. That's kind of how it always played out, you know, for safety for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we try to put them in once or twice first, and they would just hold on to the door like cats, and they wouldn't go in. And so,
Doro,
yeah,
what's up? Gianni, how are you?
Yeah.
All right.
So my job was also I gotta say it really sterile. I can't really get into the terms, but my job was kind of like it was an additional duty to actually other stuff, but it was collecting information from humans, right? And so we were in this one area for 7 days, and I started grabbing all the fighting age males that were out in the fields, and I would bring them into one compound, and so we had about 60 guys in one compound, because we're staying there for about 7 days. We don't want any trouble. We'll just keep all the fighting age males behind us, and then we'll throw a guard on them, on these guys, and watch them until we leave. Then we'll release them. That was
So
our
they
plan.
don't have any weapons on them. They're wearing regular clothes. They have no weapons or anything. Are they handcuffed?
No, they should have been searched by our commandos. So they are searched, and then we kind of dropped our security, and we were letting the little kids bring in. They call it chai. We letting them bring in tea. So who knows what they were bringing in? But it definitely wasn't a secured compound at all. You know, the only thing that the difference is that we had them in a compound, one big courtyard, and they couldn't move. But the doors were open where the kids could bring in tea to whoever their
But
level.
did that worry you at all? That they weren't like
Yeah, because it seems
secure?
like, yeah, absolutely. Because at any time they wanted to go off, they had the numbers. You know what I mean? They said, you know what? Because to me, I started. There's a pretty big event that went on early in 2002. I can't remember the exact dates. It was Mazar Sharif when one of the agency guys got killed because there was an uprising at the prison. They brought him in, and they just stacked all the guys. So I was worried about that kind of thing. Like, you guys say, "No, I don't want to stay here anymore," and walk out the door. And
You guys got the weapons and they're prisoners, so you have the right to shoot them if they try to run, right?
right, but having that gate open and having the kids come in and out, who knows what they were giving these guys? In fact, that's one of the things that, and this is why I think my accident came in, because I think after they were searched, one of the kids came in and brought a hand grenade to one of the guys. So, and I was my responsibility as an additional duty on the team was to, I don't want to say interrogate, we say tactical interview.
Conversation. Just have a
Yeah,
conversation.
We were just having a conversation, and
Yeah.
so it was and attached to the compound. Now we were there for 7 days, and Joe Serna got complacent, bro. Honestly, I got complacent. I was used to fighting without my helmet. All I took when I fought was I said frags and mags. You know, no water. Just I put bullets and I put grenades, and I had a ball cap on. I just got complacent. I didn't. I wasn't. That was not my, because I became numb to the conditions I was in. I let my guard down. So my job was to.
Did you start to really not care about your safety after a while of being there? Was it getting like that?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I was there for I mean, the rotations after rotations, and then you got to think some of the things we've seen and experienced are way outside the norm. So then you know, your levels are getting higher. You're spun up. You lose guys. Well, you're losing guys once a week. You're losing somebody, one of your friends. So then that's dealing with you. And then you're away from home. And then you're constantly, it's really, you're hyper vigilant the entire time. So you never really dial it back. So yeah, but after a while I became that environment. Like I became that like, okay, it's time for the kill, right? It was just really, it was really, it was an aggressive attitude. Uh, and having, when I did that, I stopped carrying my helmet. Um, you know, I would still be a tactical person, doing those tactical things, but as far as like, as far as safety and and doing the right thing, I let my guard down on that, and I think I just became complacent, bro, and that kind of it hurt me uh, in the long run. Well, for the next these the story I'm gonna share with you right now about the guy with the grenade. So my job was, so we were sitting there as we sit there for 7 days. I would take one guy at a time, and I'd take him to this small mud room that was attached to the compound. But we had to access it from the outside of the compound, right? So I'll take him out, and I had one translator with me, and then I had one commander with me, an Afghan soldier, and he would search them. He put their head their I forgot what it's called, man. That turban.
Turban, the
Yeah, they
turban,
call them
right?
schmucks. I think around the neck, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so he would that's how we would, there were so many, we just used their own clothes, and we used their clothes to secure their arms and hands and stuff like that and search
You
them.
just take the scarf off, tie it on their arms.
Yeah. There's a certain way you can tie it, where if you tie it high enough around their elbows, it's and they have a certain knots, man. It's really weird that they used to do, the Afghans used to do, but it would stay secure for most of the time, right?
Yeah.
So I was I was like, we were like on day 4, and I was just rushing through these interview process, man. Hey, standard questions. Hey, man, where you from? Who do you know here? Who's going out here? Do you know? Have you seen the Taliban? Where's the weapons? Basic stuff, right? Basic stuff.
Would anyone tell you like a lot of information? Would anyone break? Would anyone like spill the beans?
You'd have to take it to a certain point. You'd have to take it to a certain point. And I just can't talk about that point.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that.
You can't talk about that point. But they all said something. And right off the bat, I've done it quite a bit, so I know the signs, or if they're gonna be lying, if they're telling a story, if they're hiding something, or if they're just like, man, I'm just clueless, or if they're just dumb, right?
Oh,
And I'm
you
like,
can tell. You can tell, like sifting through the bullshit. You can tell if they're
yeah,
lying or if it's a
yeah,
story.
just a story. If there's more, if there's if you have, it became a pretty. I got that skill down then. I don't have it now anymore. But yeah, it was where I can actually see a guy, say, okay, I want that guy. Pick that guy up. And then I'll shoot him 5 questions I knew the answer to, and then we'll start from there. And I was and then some of the guys, and like I said, this area was extremely hot. And out of all the provinces that I operated in, these men here were fighters. They weren't they these guys were hard for me to break. I broke a lot of them, and we didn't get much information, but what we did we can use. But I came up to this one guy, and you know we were on for about an hour. I was working this guy for about an hour.
What time of day is it?
Afternoon. It's the afternoon, and so I'm working this guy for about an hour, and and this is every SF team has that 1 or 2 guys that has the skill set that I'm telling you right now about collecting information and stuff like that. That's just an additional duty to, we get our Green Berets, they'll send us to a school to learn that skill, right?
Yeah.
So, and I was just that guy on that team. So that's why I was the one doing the interviews.
Yeah.
And so I bring this one guy in, and I can just tell, man, this guy was gonna be tough. He didn't make eye contact. When he did make eye contact, he was kind of spitting at me. So I was like, oh, this guy's gonna be a rough one. And sure enough, as soon as I started talking to him, his hands, I kneeled him on the ground. I seated him in a uncomfortable position. We learned that to seat him in uncomfortable positions, and then I started doing some other things to him, and his hands were secured behind his back, and he was on his knees. And then we put him on the ground, and at that point, he was laying on his hands, right? And we picked him up, and we put him back on his knees, and the things that we did when he was on his back, he didn't care about. He just like, you guys did that to me, all right, watch this, and spit at us, right? That's how hard it was. I mean, we were doing some bad stuff to this guy, and so he was just he was in line to whatever his beliefs were. If he thought we were infidels, or he truly thought that. He
wasn't gonna break, right? He's not gonna.
No, he wasn't gonna break. He was and I give it to him, man. I give it to him. He held his ground.
The John Gotti of the Taliban and shit,
dude,
right?
He was.
Take it to the door.
Dude, he was gonna go out with it, man. He did. He got it. I mean, really, he got. I don't want to say got the last laugh, but yeah, he got his. I mean, he was like, okay. So when I'm interviewing, I put him on his knees, his hands are behind his back, and we're in this. Now, mind you, Staxx, this room is small, right? It's real small, and it's made of I'm made of mud, right? So it's longer. It's about, I don't know, about 15, 20 feet long and about 6 feet wide. All mud. There's no decorations. There's nothing. It's just a mud room. No windows and one door. And
like it has a roof and stuff, right? It's a regular room, has a roof.
Mud roof.
No windows. No windows. Just one door.
One door. One
All right.
door. And it was just. In fact, I'm sorry. There was one window, but it's sitting up top. But it was. I wouldn't even call it a window. You couldn't see out of it. But it was a glass up there. It was up there at the end of at the far end of the room. So which was only 15 feet. It wasn't a big room at all. And that's important when it comes down to well, I'll get into it. So he's on his knees at this time, and his hands are behind his back, and we've probably worked this guy for about a good 30 minutes, and I knew we weren't going to get that far with him. I hear a metallic click, and a metallic click, and when you hear a metallic click, and you know what a grenade sounds like.
Is he on his knees at this time still?
Yeah, he's on his knee now. We put him back on his knees. His legs are crossed. His arms behind his back, and I'm standing literally on top of him, right, looking down at him, and I hear a metallic click. And if you ever throw a grenade, it's the spoon coming away from the body. So when the spoon pops off, the grenade is armed. So the metallic click is separating. So I heard that. I heard the ping.
So it's only a certain amount of time before it goes off, right? Once you hear that noise, or no?
Yeah, it's about 5 seconds. I don't know exactly because I don't want to trust that unstable. Like that's Russian stuff. So I think ours is like 5 to 6 seconds. I'm not sure exactly the exact time, but it's a few seconds. You don't have much time. So when I hear the metallic click, like a bing, I was like, man, this guy just opened. I was like, where's it at? And then I see it roll. I see it drop, and I see it roll from behind his back. And I was like, oh shit! I'm standing on it. And so I kicked him in the chest to lay him on the grenade. But the way his knees were crossed, instead of going towards the grenade, he went opposite of the grenade. And when the grenade went off, I was standing on top of it. And I was standing, when I still standing on top of it, the grenade goes off like a V. And believe it or not, the safest space for that thing, if you're going to be on a grenade, is on top of it because it's going to go in a V. So I was kind of offset of the V. And but when it went off, when it went off, I instantly dropped, hit the ground, and because we were in this in the conditions we were in with the walls being mud and everything, it just went up to it just turned out it was a brownout, so I couldn't see the guy 5 feet from me.
So the room was still existent, like it was still standing. The room.
Yeah, I mean, a grenade is not like a real grenade is going to cause some damage, but it's not. You're not going to have these secondary order effect. You're not going to have things collapsing and anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just a quick burst and a bunch of metal shoots out.
Yeah.
But it's the overpressure that was my biggest threat. Because it felt like when it went off, the metal went through me so quick that I didn't even feel it. It went in my gut, in my pancreas, in my legs, my arm, my face. It went so fast, and I didn't feel it. I felt what I felt was overpressure. I felt the room with the pressure in the room expand, and I felt it go through all my bones. Every single bone was shaking. Everything.
In your whole body, right? Boom. You're like, yeah.
Vibrating. It was like vibrating. And then that's actually when I share this story with you, I'm not this is years of reliving it, of piecing it together. Like if you asked me what was and when it first happened, I couldn't tell you if I stepped on a landmine, if what it was. Yeah. But this is just years of hearing other people sharing stories and then saying, okay, and things are coming back to me. So that's what you're hearing here. It's not like my mind wasn't that clear back then.
Yeah, if I would have heard this story when it first happened, it would have been a totally different from your perspective.
It would have been like, because the first thing I did when I dropped is the room was brown, and like I said, I became complacent, man, with especially with my safety. I wasn't wearing a vest when I was interviewing the guy. I wasn't wearing a helmet. I was wearing a brown T-shirt. I was carrying a gun. I had my fatigues and boots on. And when I got blown up, the gun left my hand, and I was on the ground. I didn't know where the gun was. It was the M4. I didn't know. I knew it couldn't have been further than an arm's reach. But at the same time, it was an arm reach for the guy that on the ground as well, right? And if he was willing to blow himself up and kill himself, he's still alive. He's gonna pick up that gun, right? So that's my mindset. My body was shaking, the vibrations, man, just rattled my bell, and so the room was totally brown, and my translator. He managed to find the door, which was about a good 10, maybe 10 feet away. And when he opened the door, the sun couldn't penetrate. It was so thick, so brown, the sun couldn't penetrate the room because of dirt. So it looked like an orange blob coming in, right? And I could smell the iron. I could smell the blood. I was tasting blood now. And I could taste it. I was inhaling dust. So when I seen that orange blob, I'm like, that's the exit. There's a gun, there's a bad guy, there's an exit. I'm dying. I get up. I don't know how I did it. I think it was adrenaline. I stand up. I take one step and collapse. And I can't feel my left leg. And I was like, oh shit, man. And then by this time, I guess that dust starts to settle. And then I can start seeing the silhouette of the guy, the Taliban.
And he's still alive. Everything's good. He's not like really hurt.
Oh, or is he? His condition is like mine. He was circling that toilet bowl, but he was just kind of leaning to the side, looking at me, right? Yeah, he was on his way out too, but his hands were still tied, so because I can see his arms behind his back, But I was realizing, and I was like, man, I looked down at my boots. I said, what did I step on? Because a lot of times our guys would go into houses, and some of the tactics were, because they know our tactics, they would put anti-personnel mines, not big tank mines, but anti-personnel mines at the corner of the doors, because they know that's where we go. And so, and that'll maim you, that'll blow your legs off, that'll do some bad stuff to you. It's a little mine just for a pressure plate. You step on it and use your legs. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm looking at my boots and I'm like, oh hell no, man, where did I step on? You know, I didn't. The grenade thing wasn't even an option. I was like, man, what did I step on? Right.
At this time, are you laying on the ground?
At this time, so I get up and I take one step towards that orange blob, the door, and I collapse. And then my face starts touching the dust, like moon dust, really thin, light dust.
Yeah.
So my face is laying in it, and I mean, I wasn't crying, but I was in pain where tears was coming, right?
Yeah.
And I remember coming down my face, and I couldn't move. I was shaking, right, trying to move. And I remember my nose touching it, and it just kind of the tear just kind of dropped on the dust.
It went.
Yeah, like a raindrop, man. And I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die here, man. And my kids, one of my kids gonna find out that their father had passed away, and this is the way he did it. Because I was bad, like I couldn't even breathe, Mom. And then it progressively got worse following that. But in there, in the room itself, when I tried to stand up and I collapsed, and then I started doing this. I did a self-assessment. I kind of took inventory of my, my hands, my legs, my arms. Then I said, man, where's the gun? And so by this time, it took about 5 minutes. It seemed like a long time, maybe a couple minutes, for the guys to come in to get me out of there. But in between that time, I knew that there was a threat there. So once I kicked my leg and I felt metal, I kicked metal. I knew that was I knew that was mine, and so I picked it up. All right, I didn't have much strength, and but I picked it up and I pointed in his direction, and I just squeezed the trigger, and he there was no well-aimed shots. It kind of just raked him. And I know when it raked him, I can hear him. I can hear him bounce. I can see him bounce.
And wait, was it a burst shot or was it like when you raked him?
When I raked it, it was only a 3-round burst because you got semi and 3-round burst. So I don't even know what happened. I could have flicked it on the sink. I think it was an accident when I went to 3-round burst. I just flicked it for safe to fire, and then I squeezed the trigger. And then I remember it was only 3 rounds. It was, and I seen the first one hit the wall, and the second one, they kind of went in. He shook kind of violent, and he started leaning forward. But I didn't think he was still dead. But then I lost my motor skills, and I couldn't re-engage. And so I knew I was dying, right? I knew I don't know. I can't really worry about that guy anymore. I did my best. He's not going anywhere. So I think, man, the adrenaline and fear will get you over a lot of things. Somehow I propped myself up against the wall, and with my right leg, I hopped to the door. And as soon as I hopped to the door, and I didn't break the threshold of the door even. I fell out of the door, right? And I was just laying there. And then that's when the sun hit me. And I felt, man, this is okay. And that's when my arms, I started losing motor skills. So like my arms were curling up. It felt like my arms were curling up because I had so much shrapnel all over my body that I couldn't control. I couldn't control.
Like your muscles are like tightening up, and you're just making you like.
Yeah, they were just cramping. They were cramping. I was dying, and. And then there was another guy. And this is where my instincts to survive kicked in. The guy was there was another guy on the ground. He was dead, but he wasn't our guy. But I'm not sure how he got there. I'm just gonna put it there. I'm gonna leave it there. He was there when I fell. I fell and I faced him, and I'm thinking in my head. I said, man, I'm not gonna die here. I don't want to die next to that guy, right? So I called the team. They picked me up and moved me because if I didn't stop, if I stopped, and now this is my thought. This is my process. Well, this was going on in my mind because I know a lot of my friends. There are a few of my friends, not a lot, but a few of my friends had received gunshot wounds in their legs, and they're talking normal. They get put on a helicopter. Their body relaxes. They bleed out. I was afraid. That's what I was afraid of. So I was always constantly moving. Not myself. I tell the team, hey, man, it's getting hot here, man. Can you move me over here? So the first time I moved was like, I was like, hey, I don't want to die next to that guy. And I'm like, move me somewhere else. And so they'll pick me up and they'll move me, and then I'll sit there, and then I can see my world collapsing, and I was getting really bad. And I said, hey, I don't want to die here. Move me to the shade. I want to die in the
Movie
shade.
here, movie there, movie there.
I did that 5 times. They had no idea what I was doing, but I figured I was outrunning death, and fortunately it worked out because I'm sitting there with you, Staxx.
Thank God, man. Thank God it worked out.
And the last time, they kind of said, you know what? They're like, Joe, you know what? We have other patients. We can't, because the Turk got hit too. He's like, the translator got hit. He said, we can't keep moving you, you know. And they didn't know why I was doing it. Then I said, okay, go get me an Afghani. And like, why? I'm like, because if I die, I don't want flies on my face. So I had a guy going this. That just keep me alive, bro. That's all it was, is keep me alive.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was good about 20 minutes before they got the helicopters in, and they got us off. They got us medevaced out. They got us flown out to the British hospital. And one thing about the hospital was that it was I didn't have any U.S. I had no name tag, no identifying U.S., no dog tags. I had a beard. I had a sterile uniform.
Why didn't you have dog tags and things like that? Isn't that like a necessity to be carrying that type of stuff around with you?
It is, but we have to work the commandos. You remember, we have to do our best to
Blend in.
blend in with the commandos. So, you know, whatever they wear, we wear. And I never wanted any identifying marks. That's just bad. It was bad luck to me. So what I would do is I would take my blood type and my blood type and and I'd stitch it to my pant leg, so they'll know what kind of blood to give you. That's what that's what the dog tags are for anyway, for your blood type and your region. So so that's what I would do. I would just stitch it to my pant legs. I wouldn't care, man. And then we had patches too, called battle rosters, so they could take it off a battle roster. But I didn't carry dog tags. I didn't have any U.S. Army, so I was just in a just regular uniform, and I had a beard and I couldn't talk. My Turk though, he was from the north, and he spoke really fluent English, and he was red hair. Man, I used to joke with the guy, man. I was like, hey man, when the Russians pulled up, you fell out the back of the helicopter. That's how fair skinned. He's freckled, red hair, freckled. So he looked like an American. So when the British were, because the British are the ones that received us first. That was our initial care. It was a British hospital in the middle of the helmet. So when the British received us, they were going to take. So the way they take, I'm my best from my experience. What they do is they'll take the British, then they'll take the American forces, then they'll take the civilians, and then they'll take the Taliban. That's how they'll do it, right?
And they give the Taliban, they give them medical care, like.
Yeah, so I was gonna fight with them in the hospital. I was gonna fight with them because they were already in the. There was another group of Taliban fighters in the hospital, but the British don't call them fighters; they call them patients. So they're like, and because of my complexion and because of my hair, and because I couldn't speak, they were going to take my translator in first, and he's Afghan, right? So, and the only way they identified me as an American and took me before him was they had to cut my uniform off, and they seen a Raider tattoo.
Yeah.
So when they seen that, they shot me in, right? But when I came out of surgery, they put me right next to the Taliban. Like there was like 8 Taliban, and then there was me, and then on the way on the other side was the British.
And you're thinking, this guy just tried to kill you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, because I didn't really know, because my Turk that should be closer to the Taliban than me, he was on the other side of me, right? And I was confused. I'm like, man, you gotta remember, when I woke up from surgery, I had 60 staples along my stomach, completely open. And I had over 30 bandages packed into my skin. So I was like a broken egg, bro. I was cracked everywhere.
Like
so
your stomach was ripped wide open from the grenade, or was it that it was from the grenade and from the surgery?
Well, from the grenade, what the grenade did is because when they call it deep breathing. So if say in the environment I was in, that it was the dirt, or if it was human skin or cells of human body, because he blew himself up.
Yeah.
If that got into my body, they weren't going to sew it up. So what they do is they make a little incision, and then it heals from the inside out, pushing everything out, all the dirt and crap.
Man.
And so that's why the scars are so big on my arm. If you've seen my arm, the scars are so big because they couldn't sew it up because they were afraid of the infections. But as far as the stomach, they had to do exploratory surgery because there was so many pieces of shrapnel, 30, 40, I don't know, a lot. And that had nicked my small intestine. It had entered my pancreas. It does bad stuff, man. It does a lot of bad stuff. And so they had to open me up and do exploratory surgery, clean me up. They pulled me out. I think, you know what, they had to resuscitate. I think I died on it, man. My people said they had to resuscitate me. And then they put me back together, and then they put me into recovery room. And that's when more trouble started with these guys. I didn't even know what they were saying, but they were saying stuff to me. And I knew they were saying it because my translator would tell me, like, they're talking about you, Joe. And he's like, hey,
what type of stuff were they saying? Like, what type of stuff?
Oh, we know who you are. We know you're American. We know you're special forces. And they were saying, they were just talking, they were just being dicks. And I was like, hey, and then I was telling my Turk, because my Turk didn't want any drama. And I was like, hey, you're still on payroll. You better tell me what they're saying. I'm still paying you to tell.
Are you telling them, like, I'm going to get you when I get out of here and things? Are you guys, like, fighting back and forth?
Oh, we got it on. We got it in the hospital. I didn't get too much in a fight, but I knew that because there was like 8 of them, and I knew that if I was gonna go to sleep, they were gonna get me. And I was like, I ain't sleeping here. And I told my Turk, because I forgot to call it MKT pump. It's a morphine drip. I just click on that joke and get high. I didn't feel any pain. And so I told my translator, I said, hey, go get me a wheelchair and a cane. And so I don't know where he found the cane. He found the wheelchair. And then I had that, it took me about 5 minutes to get into the wheelchair. And I was hurt everywhere, right? I pumped myself up full of meds, made sure I took off. I got a little numb, just enough so it didn't hurt. And he moved me to the wheelchair, and then he gave me a cane. And then I said, hey, see that guy with one leg? Let's go to him. And so he started pushing me over to him, and he had like a colostomy bag on with the tube. I think he tripped over it because I started picking up speed, and then the nurse intercepted the whole thing, spun me around. He said, "What are you doing?" I took the cane and I threw it at the guy with one leg. It was not my fault he had one leg.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's not my fault, man. I don't know. He was talking mess. We were talking mess, and then they were getting excited, and then I was just like trying to explain to the nurse. I said, "Look, you got your people over there." I said, "You got the people over here that I was fighting." And she's like, "You're a patient." I'm like, "You can't say that because they're hot. I'm hot." Like, I don't know how long I've been in surgery, but before that, I was trying to kill them. They're trying to. We want to hurt each other.
Yeah, that doesn't just go away, man. That's your job. You're there to hurt these people, like.
And there was a bunch of them, and I'm just like, and I'm getting mad. I'm like, "You got your people over there." So anyway, they they said they took me back to my bed, and they were pretty slick about what they did to me. They got me pretty good. I give it to them. They put me in my bed, and one doctor was in front of me, and I'm talking to him, and I'm saying stuff I don't even know what I'm saying. It was irrelevant. I was just being mean. I was saying whatever to the doctor, and then I realized, oh, you're, you're trying to distract me, huh? And I turned around, and the other guy was pushing meds in my IV.
Oh,
And so I tried to cut I tried to, crimp the too late. I couldn't, it wasn't gonna work. So when I tried to crimp it, it was already in my system. So I went out, and when I woke up, they just kind of had put a partition, like the office partitions. I can still hear him. I can still hear him talking mess, but I just couldn't see him. And so, yeah, man, that's the one that kind of ended my career. The damage from that grenade.
but did you like physically and mentally? Did you want to go back?
Here's the thing: what was in my heart and my bosses and their decisions were two different things. When they finally turned me over to, I think I was in the hospital for a week with the British, and I was kind of getting homesick. So when they finally moved me to U.S. care, one of my head bosses, man, he came in, and now this injury happened 1 month after my second injury. So it was, and there was a reporter there. There was a reporter there, a news reporter that was going to report about the second injury, but I was on a mission, so I couldn't talk to him. When I came back from that second mission, I was going to speak to the reporters. That's how bad that second accident was.
Yeah.
Well, and this is a third. This accident I'm taking my third and final.
The second one was the truck, right? Truck one.
Yeah, the truck roll. Yeah.
Yeah.
When all those guys died.
We'll get into that on another time.
Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, that was So I didn't have a choice. They came up to my hospital bed, and they're like, and I think it was up north, like it was in Bagram. I'm not sure you're not familiar with the areas, but it was.
His name is SFC Joe Serna. If you want to look him up, his name's FSC Joseph Serna.
Yeah. So
Amy wants to know. She said I had to get my charger. My phone died. Green Beret's name? I missed it. She was looking for your name. No problem, Amy.
Yeah. So yeah, but actually, man, it was that ended my team career as far as being on an ODA on a special forces team. And put me behind the desk, man, and that's kind of where it took me after that injury, the initial injury, and that happened in 08, and I had major surgery 08, 09, 10, 11, 12. Subsequent surgeries fixing the same thing, man. So yeah, my team days were all gone, man. I became an instructor, became managing schools. It wasn't what I signed up for. You gotta think about this, Staxx. If your whole career you trained to play on the football field and you're finally at the Super Bowl, you want to play.
Yeah.
That was me in war. At that time though, when I got blown up, I already had suffered multiple injuries, and I had lost I can probably over 20 of my friends easily. I could count that was killed. So it was a different mindset at that time. And I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready as bad as I was. I wasn't ready to give it up. So once I got through these surgeries, I would do things to re-injure it, like go in there and lift weights that I shouldn't be lifting.
Yeah.
And I would injure it again. And it came to a certain point, Staxx, where physically, I thought if I physically healed up, that I was okay. I wasn't worried about the mental state, man. And that's probably the hardest thing to fix. is the mental. I figured, hey, if I'm okay, I can get back to a team. Life is good, but not. But I think the damage really was like PTSD and stuff like that.
How hard was it for you to reintegrate back into society once you came home out of the hospital and you're done with your career and you get back out? How hard was it for you to like get back into the?
No, it's
Just,
still to this day it's still a challenge. You know, I've and I'm speaking for myself, not everybody. When they come back, and I'm sure there's quite a few that feel the same way. That it is hard to integrate. A lot of guys that will drink. Alcohol is a big thing. I think for veterans, for me definitely, it affected my life post military. You know, for some of the things I've done, trying to fix myself through. You know, we say what they say, self medication and alcohol.
yeah.
And you're already diagnosed with your dual diagnosis. You're like PTSD and alcohol. Them two are not going to match because for me, I was only going to drink when I got sad or when I got into a dark spot, and so it's never going to end well. And so it's and I would say there's a high percentage of vets or veterans that suffer the same. They handle their issues the same way. You know, unfortunately, my decisions that I made after, post-military, uh, put me into places like, legal issues. And I've never, I've always accepted responsibility for the decisions I made. But then again, I can also get help, and and that's one thing I didn't do. Now recently, I started taking care of myself. I don't think it's a sign of weakness. I think it's a sign of strength that we do it now. Before it was like, man, before it was like I didn't want to talk to anybody. It's kind of hard to open up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to open up. But if I had this mindset, this mature mindset about mental health and mental issues back then, I think today would be a lot better. But that's one of those things. It's I had to learn the hard way.
Now, after you get home, you don't you meet the president and all that? They give you a bunch of awards, some Purple Hearts, and all this stuff. Now, do
Yeah,
those accolades? Do they have an effect on you when they give you these medals and things? Do you feel like it's not that it was worth it? You know what I mean? I'm saying, like, do you feel like they recognized your service with those medals?
Yeah, I think they do. They do. It's a good feeling to receive awards because you for me, when the most honorable thing that I did that I can say I did was being carried off the battlefield because then you knew you gave 100% being carried off the battlefield. And if they recognized, I got a couple of hearts, but if that's how they recognize it, then yeah. But then it's just then again sometimes like most of it is just an award, and it's good to have, feels good to be recognized. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, just for me, ribbons and awards. Were it was something they were important, but to me, more importantly was being on the SF team. Like I couldn't even tell you because they don't pay us enough to do what we did. They don't. You like and you think of as if you think of it as a civilian workplace. If a person got hurt, severely injured, that person wouldn't return to work.
No.
It'd be there's a process for that. For the recovery part of healing. But for us, once I got hurt, I couldn't wait to go back to get hurt again. They say, and it's statistically from the Vietnam era that they took these numbers, and it still stays true today because of the positions and the where they position us on the battlefield at the front. 75% casualties.
Did you start to lose the fear of dying once you were going through all these situations? Because I know my past, like I've been through a lot of different things. And once I've been through those things, it's kind of like, it makes you feel like, oh, I'm invincible. I ain't going to die. You know?
I think, yeah, it does. It's, I think not necessarily invincible, but unnecessary risk. Like we can avoid some things. But it was easier to to accept a firefight than try to avoid a firefight because I knew that I'm gonna come on. I've seen some things I experienced and we had just another time with it. But some of the things I experienced on my second injury with me. Dying on that second accident, uh, I was more afraid to not live life. So I would take those risks. I would live every day like it was my last one, even in combat. We're living back here and drinking and driving, whatever we gotta do. But over there, it was like quick to get in a firefight. You wouldn't run. You would do things to put yourself out there. I don't know if I was afraid of dying, but I would just take more risks.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I mean, it was just and once
Were there other soldiers doing the same thing?
I think other soldiers, a lot of soldiers, and this is true. A lot of soldiers are not there in that capacity. A good 90% are there.
Yeah, you're on the front line. Like you're on the front lines.
There's a very small amount that actually go out and ground pound. But I'm and I've talked to some of my friends and their shared experiences. I'm not alone on this. I just think the way I handled things uh, was a little reckless, and it finally caught up. And I tell you what, on the team, I was probably the most reckless guy. So, but and that just came from 4 years of combat, just back to back to back.
Yeah.
No downtime, just go back over there, experiencing it again, and and it's nothing bad. I've seen some really 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 terrible things, and and sometimes and this is true, and sometimes I felt like things that I've done over there, I'm paying for it. I paid for it through my injuries because there were some terrible things, outside of my injuries that go on in war, and I feel like this was payback for me doing those things. So,
Now, this is a big question a lot of people probably want to know. How do you feel about them pulling out of Afghanistan and giving the country back over? How do you feel about that?
I at some point it had to be done. A lot of I know there's a lot of opinion on this, and a lot of the sacrifice for men and women, or the money that we invested into the fight, and but you just can't you can't that country has to develop itself, um, and and I knew going in, I knew it, and I'm not a geopolitical person, and I just know that whoever whatever tribe uh, has the most pool over there, I guess you'd say, is going to be running that country. So it's going to be a tribal thing. But you got status. We got one tribe that thinks they're better, and they're not. And it's not like our democracy. It's who has the most pool, or what tribe is lower class. It's a status thing. So
Or
I
the
knew
biggest weapons. The biggest weapon.
and I knew that eventually the only thing that we can do is, when I was there, that I was concerned about was the kids, not pissing the kids off. You know, because those are in 20 years, those are the ones that are going to be fighting anyway. So, when we call it winning hearts and minds, but but at some point we could put a skeleton, government in there, and it's just going to return. That country's been fighting like that for years. You know, we're not gonna change it. I knew that. So when they started pulling out, and I just knew it was a matter of time.
Leaving all the equipment there.
Yeah, the way they did it was you know, my buddies were on the backside of that one, helping pull some of those guys out. The families, the Terps and stuff like that, and local Afghans. Some of the supporters, they were there on the backside, throwing over the gate, so they got a lot of knowledge, intimate knowledge on like refugees and bringing them to that. Maybe I'll link you up with one of those.
Yeah.
Guys, man. You like hearing the stories, man. One of my buddies, one of my good friends, he was involved in that. Yeah, but as far as like the equipment and everything else, I mean, you know what? It's not the first time when I went to when I got to Afghanistan, and the first time I seen tanks from the Russian war still in perimeter, like still like a secure perimeter, like 8 tanks, all the countries facing out. You knew that when they left, a helicopter came down, picked up the men, and left. And then they left hundreds of thousands of tanks scattered across it, and they're all over the place. So you know, there's a lot of equipment from a lot of and I was still getting stuff like hit fields from when the Brits were there in the 1800s. There was all kind. I mean, there was all kind from different eras of
And
weapons.
were you able to use any of these weapons? You can just go and use any of the weapons that are left over once you're out on patrol.
Most of we took a lot. Okay, so we did take a lot of AKs because we had to outfit our guys for our translators. And when they come in, we're like, okay, we go on a mission and we'll get some weapons. We'll just give them to you. So we took a lot of AK. We call them battlefield recoveries. So we had but the stuff that we can take some things home, but they wouldn't call them war trophies. But as far as weapons, they'll let us take guns home, but it has to be pre-1895 from like the Enfields. But that time there was all kind of stuff out there. There's all kind. I mean, I would run into Russian. I mean, pretty cool, like Russian Russian macros. What are they called? That the officers used to carry when the Soviets were there. So there's all kind of macros.
I know the Lugers that the Germans used to carry.
Yeah, no, these were like little spy guns. They like 007, like
Yeah.
007, they were pretty sexy, you know. And
Yeah.
I did I thought I took for granted. I should have got some. They call it war trophies, but I didn't take anything back. Like I don't want to in this country. But now I think back, man, I should have got a handful. I had a little Russian handgun, right, a little pistol.
Yeah.
We dropped a bomb on the guy that was carrying it, so I was afraid to shoot it because it was gonna be banned. In fact, I did try to test fire it, and I shot it the second time, and it just blew back on me. And I just kind of threw it, but no, it was there was all kind of stuff on dude. I think Chinese stuff, a lot of Russian stuff. So when we left our stuff there was no surprise.
So when they're forming these militias, they're getting the money from the weapons and things from Russia and China, people who are on the other side of us, right?
Yeah, just like we did it when the Russians were in Afghanistan in the 80s. We were supporting the Mujahideen, which was the opposing force for the Taliban and or of the Russians, and we were giving them the missiles to shoot down helicopters. So they have a backing, and there's a backing from whoever the money's coming from. How it's filtered, I don't know, but I know that different countries are supporting.
Now all the weapons and stuff that they get to use against you guys, there's not like a road where they're bringing all these weapons, like, you know, like a supply line. They need to supply the ammo and things to keep fighting you guys. And if you cut off their supply, they run out of the fight, right?
Absolutely, but you know the thing is, that is a good question with their supply routes, but they had enough. They had plenty ammo depots from when the Russians left. Like I would go in, we'd find big old rooms, just nothing but AK-47 rounds.
And do you guys blow that shit up when you find that type of stuff? Do you blow it up?
Yeah, we'll blow it in place. If we can't carry it out, we'll blow it in place. I mean, we blew up anti-tank mines, and we had AKs, PKMs, all the weapons you see. RPGs, the rockets, the warheads, the explosives. So yeah, it was abundance though, man. You can get AKs anywhere. That's how anywhere you get them.
And those AKs, you could drop them in the sand, pick them up, fire them. They're good to go, right?
Oh, they're definitely reliable. Yeah, and you can find AK rounds anywhere. But yeah, it was it's all over the place. But when they pulled out and when we pulled out, I wasn't surprised that we left that stuff behind. You know,
there's a lot of there's that video of that plane. Liberty was just talking about it. The plane that was flying and people were falling off the plane. There's discrepancies in that video. If you guys haven't seen them, the windows on the plane are blacked out. The engine on the plane is blacked out. It's really weird in the video. If you look at that video, something's not right.
Like some kind of conspiracy thing?
I don't know, man. I can't say that, but I definitely say there is some discrepancies in that video. The motor is blacked out. You could see it when the plane's coming down the runway. The motor's blacked out. The windows on the plane are blacked out, and a lot of people are saying that it wasn't real.
Oh, you were saying that's just it was kind of like one of those computerized things.
It was for like media. It was for the media and all that. I'll show you a clip of the video.
I heard about that.
Pretty wild.
Yeah. But no, man, that was so that was the suicide bomber story. You know?
Yeah, that's pretty insane, man.
Yeah. It's hey, and you know what, I can say that I'm okay now years later that I did my best, man. But it's just still part of me. The boys are still part of me. The brotherhood is still part of me.
All right, you guys ready for this? You guys are gonna freak when you see this picture. This is insane. And you ain't heard this from me. Don't say I'm the one that started this conspiracy stuff, because I'm not. I'm just bringing you the information. You guys make your own decisions. I'm not the one to bring this to the forefront. Like, I'm not the one who's starting all this. It's been out there, so don't come at me with that shit.
What is that? Go ahead. Let's see what you got.
All right, ready? Now you see the plane's motors? You see the windows on the plane? Yeah. They're blacked out. The motors, you can't even see the motor. If you look at a real motor on a plane, they don't look like that. Not at all. They look like this. I'll show you. So when you're looking at a real plane like that, the motor looks like this. It doesn't look like a black space in the motor. It looks like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like that. Now, why are the windows blacked out? Why is the motor blacked out? And that's legit. Look at the windows.
Yeah, they're black.
They are, right?
Yeah, they're black. Yeah, black.
They're not blacked out on a regular plane. So I just something's up. Something's up with that video, man.
There's some weird stuff out there, though. There's some really weird stuff.
Really, especially lately, and hopefully they can figure everything out and get a ceasefire going, because this is getting out of control over there.
Everywhere, bro.
What do you think about this stuff in Israel?
Man, if I was healthy enough. Man, I had a couple partners, man, that went over to UK and supported those guys. And my question was, man, how you first of all, it's amazing that you're alive. And second, how come don't you get stopped by the government coming back in?
Probably.
You get like I would think
well, I mean, you can go there and fight as independent, can't you?
Apparently that's what they did.
Yeah, you can go join like a different force and fight with them, or
my buddy was like, he got recruited. He was straight like in a platoon of UK soldiers, Ukrainian soldiers. And I was like, bro,
That's
why? I said, what? He's like, yeah, they put him in the front line. And I'm like, bro. He said that he heard. He said he was in the ditches in the trenches. Like this is like trench warfare, and he heard what is it called? The thing fly remote.
a drone or
Drones.
unmanned. Yeah.
Yeah, he heard buzzing all night. Heard buzzing from the Russians, just buzzing, and that's what. And then right after that, you hear like artillery rounds just falling next to him.
They've been dropping those. They've been dropping bombs off the drones, man, right onto people. Like you could see down, they just let it go, boom, right on, and you never see it coming.
They're crafty. Now I would be afraid of like that whole Hamas thing in Israel. That thing, that's a mess right there.
It's terrible, man. I'm not on either side. I don't support either side. I'm about a ceasefire. They need to work together. All this war stuff is not the answer, man.
No, now, especially now that I'm older, and then I have kids in the military now. Like I don't even want.
If they start a draft, do you think if it got bad to where they needed people, do you think they would take you back to be like a platoon leader or something like that if they needed you?
No, I'd probably instructor. It put me it'd be some capacity, but they wouldn't put me on the. No, they wouldn't. It'd have to be really bad, bro. It'd have to be.
Is that something that you would do?
No, I'm over it, man.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed my time in doing what I did. I trained up for it. I trained hard for it, and I had a great group of guys that I surrounded, and that had the same mentality to fight. But it's just the fire for me is not there. It's not. It sounds good, you know. If I said it as an American, like, oh hell yeah, I'd go. It'd be lip service right now. I think I paid my debt, and I just don't want anybody going. How about that? Like, then I don't want. It's just my kids. I wouldn't want. Nah. And it's unfortunate now that my kids are of age in the military. I'm thinking how my mom used to feel when I was deployed, bro. And dude, it broke her heart, man. She couldn't sleep. She getting these funks, and I was like, even though I knew I was safe and everything, I thought I was safe. But I'm looking at it from a different side now, man, as a parent.
Hey, man, we all got to go through it, right?
Yeah,
and hopefully send prayers out there for all the people who fight for our country. Happy Veterans Day. This has been an absolutely great interview, great show, man. It's a pleasure to have you as a friend, man. It really is.
I appreciate it, Staxx. And anytime, bro. Anytime.
Definitely.
Man. You've always done right. I enjoy coming on your show. I enjoy watching your show. I'm a fan of yours. And anytime, man. Anytime we come jump on, man.
And are you going to be doing any podcasts soon or anything like that that people look out for?
No, right now I want to. I just got to get some things in order. But yeah, that's one of my goals is to jump on a podcast. I think it's a good release for me too.
Let me know, man. I just hit 7,500 subscribers. Thanks to all the people that listen every week, man. Things have been. I can't thank you people enough. I really can't. You guys want
subscribers, man. Plus, you have some badass guests, man. It's legit guests, man. I enjoy your guests, man.
I have some incredible guests on the way, man. Are incredible. I already got the interviews in the bag. I already interviewed them. I'm just waiting. I got to edit some videos up, and people are going to be surprised at who these people are. I'm raising the bar. That's it.
Well, you're amazing, man. Hell yeah. No, but it's been a pleasure, Staxx, man. It's always, man. You're my boy.
Thank you, man, and thank you for your service. If anyone hit the like button, subscribe. If you want to check out my videos, check them out. And if you don't like these videos, start your own podcast. I appreciate you, man.
All right, brother.
Definitely. Hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell, and I'll see you guys Maybe I'll come on later on tonight, maybe tomorrow morning, but I got something big coming.
Show my boy some love. Hit that like.
Yeah, man. And if you want to donate to the channel, you can donate through Cash App, Bill Staxx 2021, or Venmo, PayPal, Zelle, all that good stuff. Super stickers, super chats. I appreciate all of you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe, the notification bell, and remember, don't be